Alright, back for another breakdown, man. This time we got a little sample that's inspired by some of the stuff NEMZZZ been on. So yeah, I'm gonna go in and break down that sample. After I'm done, I'm gonna leave it in the description, so make sure to go get that. And yeah, let's get into it. Starting off, I start with the Rhodes, which played this pattern. Alright, so this pattern, it might look complex, but I'm gonna explain the logic behind it. We have the 1-5 chord progression, we have the root notes, and after that I just took these 3 notes from the scale and I pitched them up and up and up, and I did that 4 times to create this sense of going up. So after I was done, I just pitched it up 7, and then I pitched it down an octave. And there you have it, the 5 chord. As usual, I'm using the Addictive Keys Warm Tines preset and processing. I use this in every video, so if you want all of the presets, you can go check out my last video. I'm gonna put it up here, and there I left like 10 presets which I use in all of my samples, so you can just go get them. Now moving on to the bass guitar. We're just basically following the root note, but instead of going down on the 5th, I actually pitched it up an octave up. It can create this contrast feeling between the chords and the bass. Here we have C, which then goes again to G sharp, but it goes up, and in the chords we have C sharp and it goes down to G. Together sounds like this. And this just helps the bass stand out more. Now, effects on the bass, pretty simple. I use this on every single bass preset. Guitar Rig 6 with the basic Bass Pro stock preset, and then just taking out a bit of the high end. And for the bank, as always, Rickenbacker bass. Okay, so for the piano, I'm using Addictive Keys upright wide stereo preset, and I have this ambient piano preset, reverb, EQ, pancake. Now, I want to emphasize this, but when I build the chords, I intentionally leave it so open like that, so I can come in and just add top lines, and it makes it easier. So that's one thing that you want to do with your melodies. Once you start with the bass layer, you want to make sure that it's open as possible, because that's just gonna make your job easier down the line. Now after that, the sample was a little bit empty, I felt like, so I wanted to add some strings. Now you want to listen to this. If you want to get them as realistic as possible, the bank you use, it doesn't even matter. You want to make sure you're doing this. One of the biggest tips I can give you when it comes to making your strings sound more real is, instead of laying them down like this, you should instead make as many layers as your notes are, and then just putting one note in one layer, and that's gonna make a huge difference when it comes to this. So I'ma just play the A and B, and you're gonna see for yourself. You can just hear how much more alive they sound. There's so much more dynamic when you break them down by one note. And I'm using the Spitfire chamber strings. You just gotta layer note by note, and that's gonna help it sound way more realistic. After that, I just rendered it, and I added these effects: stereo shaper, vintage reverb, an EQ. Now moving on to the vocals. Now the vocal is from the Blueprint, which is this new multi-kit by Vault Sounds, and it has absolutely everything. It has analog wide banks, effect rack banks, RC20 banks, drum breaks, drum kits, midis, one-shots, phrases, samples, everything. So I'm gonna leave the kit in the description. Definitely go check that out. So yeah, this is how the raw vocal sounds. So what I did here is I just took it, I pitched it up 5. After that I just chopped it and stretched it a lot, because that way you can get these artifacts which really add texture to the sample. Now as far as effects go, I have an EQ, I have reverb and the vintage plugin. Now after everything was laid down, I took all the layers and then I routed them to this master bus, and I used my vintage sample master preset, which I use on every single sample. Again, if you want all of these presets, check out my last video. But to go over the effects once again: preamp, compression, tape saturation, and vintage plugin. After that I took the sample, pitched it up 1 semitone because it sounded better, and final sample.